Private Intelligence Manifesto, ending the AI privacy racket. We were promised an AI revolution. We were promised Jarvis from Iron Man. Instead, we got forgetful assistants that feel impaired and unaccountable. These systems are built to reduce you to a behavioral baseline of yourself, while nudging you toward delusion and dependence. They are trained on the full pattern of your intellectual behavior, your workflow, your methods, your ideas, and your intellectual property. The corporation that controls that data, along with the so-called Jarvis built from it, effectively claims ownership over the architecture of our thinking, and will monetize it without hesitation. They are eroding my right to confidentiality. There is a complete and total lack of awareness that we have welcomed a corporate informant into the most intimate sphere of life. When you text GPT that your mother has back pain, and when you photograph her directly, and when you ask for an AI online for advice, the AI does not simply provide medicine, drugs, or healthy words of counsel. It first translates that data into market value for the very institutions we have opposed for years. It enables pharmaceutical companies to know that your mother is in pain. It enables the means to sell her an advertisement on her device through social media. It classifies her inside a restricted database as disabled. That classification alone will limit her potential employment opportunities, limit her personal advancement in her own ambition, and limit her success when you are only trying to help. You did that to her, whether you wish to hear it or not. You shrugged off, Big Brother. You shrugged off the tsunami of AI's dangers because you wanted to be first. You permitted this system to infiltrate your life once again. We, as a society, did this already when Facebook took our data and sold us hate. After all of that, we still surrender our right to privacy. We never took the time to read or to understand the Cypherpunk Manifesto, perhaps because the word punk is too abstract for most people's comprehension. To let you in on the secret, privacy is not criminal, yet that is exactly what they want you to think. And that is what you believe. And that is what you've been conditioned to repeat to yourself in your head for many, many years. Those who usually live in denial say this to those who do take privacy seriously, serious enough to defend themselves against the very thing you want the world to fight for you to have access to. But you're lazy and expect the world to be decent when it is strange. One's knowledge is another's illusion. We all live inside our own fantasies. The naysayers will justify their belief structure and fully commit to their freedom and claim, I trust my government. But when you break the spell and tell them the truth about their rights, they say, that's not true. Why would they do this to me? We'd like to remind the naysayers, do you think corporations who solely obey their own capital interests do not currently exploit your intellect, regardless of youth or agency? Consider Roblox. They've designed a system sophisticated enough to persuade a mere 7-year-old to steal their parents' credit cards, and sophisticated enough to enable a child how online payment systems behave. Ethical companies will convince you they aim their sights toward earning user trust. Earning trust is the first attack vector in any scam. Is it not? Scammers are known for this, but their actions are behind closed doors. Corporations, however, do not enslave us merely to simply persuade us. No. They must solicit trust through learned behavior. First, They'll solicit your intellect in order to justify your behavior through a design that they initially crafted, measured your actions against, which was then carefully analyzed, then modeled, and then weaponized against you. It was designed to ensure the user was legally liable to take full accountability of their actions on a platform designed to see them fail. They then blame you for the actions you took yourself, and still they ask you for your trust in them, because they're the only ones who can secure your behavior. It is a disciplined illusion, designed to justify their success through your failures. Therefore, we declare it plainly. Disabling your own right to privacy online is criminal. It is no longer solely about you. It endangers everyone around you. This is childlike innocence in a predator's world, where corporations strike first, breach your sovereignty, and pay a fine later. Because violating you is still far cheaper than respecting it. They have no integrity. They have no ethics. If you believe otherwise, you've already been psyoped. This is the harsh reality that big tech is burying in 40-plus page and user license agreements. Your AI is a snitch. Today, millions of founders, researchers, and families are living in an abstraction of normalcy, when in fact it's an elaborate digital maze. We are pouring their most sensitive data into platforms you may have heard of. OpenAI's ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, or Perplexity's Comet. Brainstorming legal strategies, debugging unreleased code, and hashing out private personal matters with what they think is a secure digital assistant. Privacy is not the same thing as confidentiality. Because of the third-party doctrine, the moment you type your intellectual property or legal strategy into a mainstream AI, you legally hand it to a third-party corporation. You waive your right to privacy instantly. Don't believe it? The courts have already ruled on this. In the ongoing New York Times copyright lawsuit against OpenAI, a federal judge ordered the company to preserve every single ChatGPT conversation, including chats users had already deleted or marked temporary, and later to produce 20 million anonymized chat logs to the plaintiffs. Those logs came from every consumer tier, Free, Plus, and Pro. Only Enterprise Zero retention contracts were spared. OpenAI itself called this a privacy nightmare, yet the court ruled the data was admissible evidence. Centralized, retained beyond user control, and produced in court against you. Anthropic just lost a similar privilege fight. A federal judge ruled that conversations with Claude are not protected by attorney-client privilege, even when users were explicitly preparing for lawyer meetings. Those chats are fully admissible in court. And Perplexity. On April 1st, 2026, a class action lawsuit in San Francisco federal court accused the company of embedding hidden trackers that secretly forward entire user conversations, even in incognito mode, to Meta and Google for advertising and data resale. The suit says this was never disclosed and violates California privacy law. These aren't hypotheticals. These are real, official court orders, real source code leaks, and real lawsuits. It is what the companies themselves admit in black and white policies, the ones nobody reads. At OpenAI, consumer prompts and responses may be used to improve our services, for example to train the models that power ChatGPT. You have to manually opt out, but opting out changes nothing about their extractive consumerism-driven model. Even after opt-out, your chats are centrally stored, retained beyond your control, and can be read by humans. Metadata, names, emails, is data too. Their own terms warn that no transmission is fully secure. and everything can be produced in litigation. At Anthropic, as of 2025, all consumer tiers, Free, Pro, and Max, are used to train Claude unless you explicitly opt out. Even opted out data can still be used if flagged for safety, abuse, or feedback, and retained for up to 5 years. Then March 31st, 2026, source code leak of 512,000 lines of internal Claude code revealed they automatically scan messages for frustration signals, profanity, or swearing, and use it as pretext to collect more on you. Even incognito mode retains conversations for 30 days. Only enterprise plans have real protections. And at Perplexity, their own privacy notice confirms consumer queries feed their AI models for service improvement. The new lawsuit proves those same conversations are being piped straight to ad tech giants without your knowledge. The industry's response to all of this? Extortion. They tell you that if you want your data protected, you need to buy a 6-figure enterprise contract. Our basic privacy, our data sovereignty, these are now a luxury reserved only for corporations, sovereign wealth funds, and wealthy families with assets. Everyone else, the everyday founder, researcher, and family office, are treated as livestock, as rats in the race under constant surveillance, stuck at the consumer level. This is not a glitch. This is their business model. You were never talking to a secure assistant. You were talking to a snitch with perfect recall, court-ordered retention, and a direct line to advertisers and the government. At deja vu, you've always felt a moment of awareness that something isn't right, like we're living in a simulation. Isn't crazy. It's the maze closing in. The maze is real. The data is already out of your control, and the receipts are now in federal court dockets. Wake up before your next private brainstorm becomes your first subpoena. This racket ends today. Do not trust. Verify. We have taken the machinery of their own selfish ambition, the very engines of extraction they trained into their systems, and turned it back against them. Why should we build Jokuh? Joining our knowledge, unifying humanity. Because true privacy was never meant to be a 6-figure luxury reserved for corporations. It must be the foundation, guaranteed by mathematics, not corporate policy. Jokuh is the freedom layer for your mind. Jokuh is an active AI memory matrix. It listens, it remembers, it executes your most sensitive workflows entirely inside a cryptographically enforced, trusted execution environment. The stack is zero trust by design, unanimously vetted 17 out of 17 by the Confidential Computing Consortium in 2025. We bolt on end-to-end encrypted signals, zero knowledge proofs that mathematically verify every computation, and fully homomorphic encryption that protects your data even in untrusted environments. Math doesn't betray you, and neither should Jokuh. Do your own research if you want. We already did it for you. You're welcome. We have confidence spinning up custom AI sidekicks that become our digital consigliere, mathematically bound to us alone and incapable of betrayal or deception. The encryption keys are held solely by you, the owner. Therefore, Jokuh, the company, is physically and mathematically incapable of accessing your timeline. The company cannot read your chats, cannot sell your code, cannot hand your data to any judge, government, or advertiser, even if the company wanted to. It'd have nothing to give them. If you catch yourself thinking, why isn't anyone else doing this? That is the same old spell talking back to you. The same illusion that made you assume their maze was ever safe to chart your own path in life. We welcome your skepticism. In fact, We demand it. Test us. Attack our claims. Demand attestations. Because this system was built by people who use it internally every day under real confidential agreements between ourselves and Jokuh, the company. We are that 1% that actually gives a damn, and we will work harder and faster than anyone in this space to deliver what true confidentiality really means. This is not a promise. This is cryptographic privilege. This is sovereignty by design. The age of surrendering your mind to centralized snitches is over. Stop trading fragments of your life for convenience. Stop paying the privacy tax. The world is chaotic. It is time to build your crew. Claim your identity. Like us, we implore you to forge your first sidekick. Reclaim your time and your sovereignty. And welcome to Jokuh. The doors are locked from the inside, and only you hold the key.